I don't really believe it, but I think yes, sir.
Can you go around?
Can't put it. Oh, got a runner. Got a runner. Can't take that one.
You can thank us for that, man.
You're sure.
So first time I heard that one.
Oh no. I can't read it over. Oh no, I like the picture. Where's the little cup? Let me out of here. I asked her. Excruciating. Where's your butter? Don't do this before activity. See, in this activity, I'm sure somebody's going to blurt out the answer. That's why I like this one better. Just that it's potassium K. Periodic. On the periodic table, potassium is K. You can learn something from me.
Exactly.
4 minutes.
How many of y'all are already in here? 1, 2.
All the H2O.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say this
It's in your group.
Bring your box fan out.
No AC, no group.
What? There's AC.
No AC, man.
It don't feel like it.
It's not on.
Hey, the other day, this was in the hallway. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hurt everybody in high school. No.
Don't. Because I made the mistake a couple times. You know, I'm like, after he's like, yeah, I'm going to do a cartwheel. The next day, I'm like, what is that feeling? Or yeah, I'm going to jump over this.
See what
You know, I cannot jump off because I have to. I have a stool, but I still have cabinets that are so high that I have to stand on the counter to reach.
You need a stool over there.
And I used to just jump down off the counter until one day I did it in my knees. They literally screamed. I heard a sound.
I did crazy. What you doing there?
And I was like, that was important. Right?
At least
I know more. As much as my little kids do, they're embarrassed me. Like if I'm standing on climbing the shelves at Walmart, you know, they're like, "Mommy, you're embarrassing us."
it's a sign.
I'm like, I don't have to wait on them to come help me.
I let it cut and shoot it off.
I'm not gonna go back there and talk to them after everybody gets in.
I'm gonna make a cut and I'll shoot it down there with the string.
I'll catch it. Ice cold.
Ice cold. Shoot veggie. Not good veggie.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yellow.
I'm over here.
No, right? I'm a realist, no. Purple.
Mr. Brooks. Where's Mr. Brooks?
He was. Where's the Gary? Here he comes.
Mr. Brooks. I'm doing this mostly just to learn everybody's names.
Oh.
Mr. Mark.
Present, sir.
Mr. Trey Hand.
He is
On this.
in
Mr. Tragan is in the counselor's office.
Mr. Franzel. Mr. Van Til.
Present, sir.
Mr. Nunez. Mr. Nunez. Mr. John Bell. All right. Mr. Christopher Meal. Robert Gold. Mr. Gold. Timothy Sims. Where you is, Timothy? Okay. I like the way you put that on your stuff and everything. Tim Sims.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Kendrick Jackson.
Present.
Thank you, Kendrick. All right, anybody's name I didn't call this morning? Look, seriously, I'm just trying to learn your name and all of that stuff. We are live and going and all of that kind of stuff. And if you at North can't see it, this is a person in jail. So why we think that person's in jail?
Breaking the law.
What's that?
Because he didn't have his driver's license.
He didn't have his driver's license.
Wasn't a law-abiding citizen.
He wasn't a law-abiding citizen. Yeah, look. However you feel about the popos and all of that stuff, he's in there because he done did something. Right?
I'm a double dip. He could have been. When I see that, I look at myself being a prisoner in my own mind.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good too. Yeah. He said, and this is something we're going to be looking at because that's absolutely the truth. Most of us, if we are prisoners, we're prisoners in our own mind. And here's the deal: we can get out of that prison? Can we get out of that prison in our mind? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And that's what our deal is about. We're going to work at getting out of those prisons that are in our own mind. A lot of those things we're going to be looking at, and we're going to be looking at real closely, is our behavior stuff. You got something?
No.
Oh, you just, okay. You got the same thing I do, yeah. Sometimes it's worse than others.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. We're going to be looking at our behaviors. We're going to be looking at our verbal actions. We're going to be looking at all of those things because all of that, look, it's not just about getting along here in recovery. It's not just about being the best that you can be. It's not about doing the next right thing. Although it is about all of those things, it's also about my recovery. See, all of those things, if I don't have those things in place, I don't have much of a chance of getting into recovery. And that's what this place is about. Whether you've come to this place being about that or not, that's what our place is about. So real quickly, we got to make sure that we get our sign-in sheets done. And let me share this with the folks there at North. And I know Miss Sierra is trying to get something lined out on that. But I didn't get my sign-in sheets for yesterday. So what we may have to do is fill them out again, date them for yesterday, and then fill some out today. But we need to make sure that somebody can carry those and put them in my box over there, because I'm going to be a day late, and my machine tells everybody, hey, those notes came in late. And that's not good. So make sure that you get your name on there. Make sure that anybody in the world can read your name. I'm not the best at all of that stuff. The folks over at North, over here, people are a little bit more forgiving. But the folks over at North, they laugh and they make snide marks toward me, and they giggle at every time I misspell a word. I spelled roll the other day, R-O-L-L, and it's supposed to be R-O-L-E, and man. So, so I'm not I'm not all that great at all of that stuff either, but just make sure that I can read it so we can get it. Now, everybody came to class this morning. Everybody brought their book, excited about it. Thank you, sir. You want to put it right over here? That'll be great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Everybody brought their book. That's one of the rules of group. This is a no sleeping group, and I'm watching, through the thing here. I can see, the folks at North over there. So y'all don't be sleeping in the group, and it's a no dinner group. My wife and I, about every 3 months, we have season tickets to the to the dinner theater. And not Deer Park, but over there near Deer Park. It is Deer Park. And so we go to Deer Park, we go to the dinner theater, and you have a nice meal, and then you watch a play. And some of those things are just really, really good. And some of those things are okay. This, however, is not dinner theater. Now, Mr. Farmer has said he don't mind y'all having snacks, and I don't mind you having snacks either. But when you bring, like, short ribs and potatoes, and that's not a snack. That's a full meal. So we're not doing that. But so today we're where? This is Thursday already. This is Friday Eve. That's a good thing, right? Yeah. Friday Eve. So we're still on families. So we are going to talk about families a little bit today. Our whole goal this morning is going to be talking about responsibility, but in that area of responsibility, then there's some family issues in us taking our own responsibility, right? So before we move on, whose fault is it that this guy's in jail? It's his fault. I need to stand up like a full-grown man, full-grown woman, and say, hey, look at him. I did that there, right? I did that there, yeah. I did that. I've been there, done that, So on Thursday it says, look, we're getting a little bit better along. So each day we're looking at a little bit better thing, a little bit better place where we're going to attempt to get to with our family. Now let me ask you this. If we don't ever make that move, and if we don't ever get our family back in the loop where we want them to be, is that going to destroy our recovery? Is that going to destroy our lives? No. It's going to be really sad. Yeah. Right? I've had people tell me, oh man, I don't know if I can deal with it. It's going to be really, really sad if the family says, you know what? We don't want to have any part of you. Right? And I told y'all yesterday, I've got members of my family that don't want to have anything to do with me. And look, I have said in the past, that's okay. But let me share this with you. It's really not okay. It's really not okay. But I still have to learn how to deal with things in my life that are not really okay. Right? I have to learn to deal with those things. Even if that thing not being okay makes me feel really, really sad or really, really bad. Some things are going to be in my life and some things are going to be in your life that you don't like.
That's what coping skills.
You just got to come up with some coping skills. If you don't know how to cope with it, come talk to me. My door's always open. Come talk to me and come say, man, I can't cope with that. And then we'll set you down and tell you how you can. You know, as full-grown people, we can cope. You know, there's a place, and look, y'all know I'm a Christian, and in the Bible, there's a place that says I can do all things. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So this says right here, a willing partner. At this point, we should be looking at being a willing partner. You view your family, you look at your family, your loved ones as willing partners, or at least those key members who will remain close to you. While some minor stuff still going on, you still have some conflict resolution you need to do, or relationship repair needs to occur. The overall health and stability of your family relationship is strong. Right? We want to have our family to be strong. That sounds like a pretty good situation where our family is strong. They're supportive. Now they're partners. What are they partners in?
Our recovery.
Yeah, they're partners in two things. And he said our recovery, they can be partners, and I want them to be partners in my recovery. What else can they be? Partners in my life story. And I want my family to be in my life story. I want to be able to write my life story and have it say over there, hey, look, this portion of my family is helpful, partnering with me to be able to do that. So, Mr. Bell, you have something you wanted to share? Okay. Okay. So, we're going to move a little bit on past all of that stuff. So, if you have all those things ready, we're ready to go. We're going to talk a little bit about personal reality or personal responsibility. I want to share a couple of things with us. One of the things that I have run into in recovery is low self-esteem. See, I suffer from low self-esteem. Even though I'm rich, young, good-looking, men fear me, women desire me. I still have some of this low self-esteem thing going on for me, right? So I look at my life and I say, that should be different. And I go and I talk to my higher power about that being different and all of that stuff. I want to show you what my higher power said to me. And I want you to know this. If your higher power is the same higher power that I talk to every day on a daily basis, then he said the same thing to you. And this is over in Jeremiah, and it says this, Jeremiah 29:11, one of my favorite scriptures. It says, well, I know the plans I have for you. Sometimes God's plan is not my plan. And sometimes things are going crappy. I'm going to guarantee you it was not God's plan for us to become addicted to anything. It's not God's plan for me to be addicted to drugs or alcohol. It's not God's plan for me to be addicted to cigarettes. It's not God's plan for me to be addicted to pornography. It's not God's plan for me to be addicted to sugar. It's not God's plan. He said, look, I have plans for you. I may not have the greatest plans for myself, but my higher power has plans for me. And he says, look, I have plans for you. And he declared that. And then he said this, plans to prosper you. Plans to make things good for you. Plans to make things right for you. So when I get back out of this thing, when somebody comes up and says, hey, man, I got a little something, I'll let you have a little something on credit. You don't have to worry about paying it back for a long time. Don't worry about all of that. Just a little something to help you get past where you need to be. You tell them, wait a minute, that's outside the plans that my higher power has for me. My God has higher plans than that for me. So we're going to go beyond that. They said, look, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Not to harm you. Well, drugs and alcohol, are they going to harm me? Yeah. All of this other stuff the devil has made me get in, they're going to harm me? A lot of it's going to. So he said, look, we're not going to do that. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Hold up. What y'all doing? What y'all doing?
I was informed her that we need another sign-in sheet for yesterday.
No, that was for the other group over there. The sign-in sheet. We got the sign-in sheets for here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're moving forward right now. I'm going to share a few things with you on personal responsibility, and we're going to talk about that. Here's the thing. This is all about accepting personal responsibility. I gave you all a sheet that we're going to have something to do with a little bit later on. And I want you have it over there at North. We have a couple of ladies over there that's going to hand all of that stuff out. And I want you to do something with that. So here's the deal. We are today looking at accepting personal responsibility. I need to take a look at everything in my life and see. I need to ask myself a question. Is this my fault? Did I do this? Guess why I'm working here? You got to go to the bathroom. Well, absolutely, man. We've been in group for almost 15 minutes. I don't see how you've held it that long. Go look. And just, this is a perfect example. When we, before group, go to the bathroom. I'm almost 72 years old. I'm going to stand here for 2 hours without going to the group. We'll have a break here in a few minutes. Go to the bathroom. Do those things. Yes, sir.
You said accepting personal responsibility?
Yes, sir. We need to be willing to accept personal responsibility. Y'all know who Tecumseh was? Tecumseh. No, that's an engine on your lawnmower. What are you talking about? It's on chainsaws and all of that kind of stuff. So, no, this guy, like you said, Mr. Darnell said, he was an Indian chief. He was a big chief. Now, here's what he said. Y'all listen to this. He said, I'm a Shawnee. What does that say? He said, I'm Shawnee. What does that say? I got about this much Cherokee in me. That's why I got these high cheekbones and all this good looking and all of that kind of stuff. I've actually been to the Cherokee Nation and walked around there. We went to a Cherokee Baptist church. I'm gonna tell you, I've never really been scared in church, but that day I was a little bit, I'm holding on my head. I'm thinking maybe, yeah, it was really an interesting situation. But what's this about? When he says, "I am Shawnee," anybody got an answer to that? A stab in the dark.
Yeah. He was accepting his personal responsibility.
He was accepting personal responsibility, but anything else, Ms. Darnell, you always got something, even if it's wrong. What was that?
He's proud of who he is.
He was proud of who he is. He's not trying to look. I'm not trying to hide who I am. I'm Shawnee. This is who I am. There were hundreds. I have in my office at my home, I have a home office, and in that office I have a map that my wife bought me probably 30 years ago. That is a map of all of the Indian nations in the United States and Canada and Mexico. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. But there's Indian nations all over this place. And so for him to stand up and say, I am Shawnee, that means I am not Crow, I am not Sioux, I am not Cherokee, I am not anything else. I am who I am, as Popeye would say, and that's all who I am. Yeah.
I'm a Blackfoot Indian.
You're a Blackfoot Indian. I'm going to share something with you. You might not notice. It ain't just your black feet. You're all over black. And there are Blackfoot Indians. He's got some Blackfoot in him. I got a little Cherokee in me. Not enough. I had a staff sergeant that was working with me in the United States Army. He had enough Cherokee in him that the United States government sent him a check every month. And that only lasted until he was like 26 or so. But still, that was magnificent. So here's the point we need to know. This guy's not ashamed of who he is. Not ashamed of who I am. That's why when people meet me within probably the first 10, 15 minutes of meeting me, they know I follow the Lord Jesus. They know I'm a Christian. They know I'm not perfect, but I'm still following the Lord Jesus. He's my higher power. They also know I'm in recovery. Why? Because I'm proud of the fact that I'm in recovery. Man, when I was in the midst of my addiction, I was bad. We have some people in here that want to try to be Billy Bad Butts, but I'm going to tell you, I really was one. This thing right here, I know y'all see all the wrinkles and stuff, and they get more pronounced every day. I go and I look in the mirror and I go, who's that old man? But this right here is not a wrinkle, that's a scar. Back in the battling days, I ain't no more battler, right? I got out of that stuff. It's better not to be a battler. Even if you win, it hurts. Yeah. Even if you're walking off and the other guy's down, everything on you, everything is hurt. So, but I'm proud of who I am. Look, I'm in recovery. Lots of times I tell people, they say, well, how are you doing? I'm doing great. My recovery is doing great. I'm still in recovery and God still loves me. And they say, what's that? What's recovery? See, there's people out there that don't know about all these drugs and all of that kind of stuff, and I have to educate them. And they say, well, I drink. Well, I don't. Because I'm in recovery. And whereas you can have a nice cold beer, I can't. Because I'm in recovery. And a nice cold beer, one will destroy my recovery.
I have a question.
Okay, have a question.
If alcohol isn't your drug of choice, would it be okay for you to have an ice cold beer if your addiction is heroin or cocaine?
Did y'all hear the question? And let me tell you the question, because you should know the question already, because Mr. Bell's asked that question 4 times. This is not the first time he's asked that question, is it? He asked that question last week. He asked that question, a couple of times. And it's okay, because what do we do when we ask the question 4 or 5 times?
Friendly reminder.
It's a good reminder. It's also, I didn't like the first answer, so let's get another one.
Just say yes.
I can understand it. No. His question was, if my addiction is heroin or cocaine or marijuana or shrooms or some kind of junk like that, is it okay to drink a beer? Somebody tell me the answer. No. Absolutely not. Because of cross addiction. If you're addicted to heroin and you go have a beer, remember we talked about the tetrahydroquinone that's in your brain? It wakes that up, and you're at the same level of addiction for heroin as you were when you quit. You're not at the same level of tolerance, but at the same level of addiction.
But not to get off topic and not to speak religion, but the Bible says you can drink, but not with the intention of getting drunk.
Yeah. The Bible says you can drink, but not with the intention of getting drunk.
But that was at the wedding ceremony.
Yeah, so what does that tell you?
Think like that. So if anybody doesn't understand what wine was created for biblical times, I'll let you know. Wine was a water purification process.
Yeah.
Water was not clean back then. You get a glass of water back then, and it was as dirty as it could be. So wine was used to purify water.
Still pretty dirty. But let me say, and not saying you're doing this, but let me share this with you. A lot of people will point to the Bible, become very religious, become very, to that place where they say, well, God said I could drink wine. And let me tell you something. Jesus drank wine. Right, well, it really doesn't say in the Bible that Jesus drank wine, but it's okay if he did drink wine, because here's the deal. He's not addicted. He's not addicted to it. He didn't drink enough of it to be addicted. Jesus was one of those people who walked just about everywhere he went. When he wasn't walking, what was he doing? Riding a donkey, right? And look, that means he was in pretty good shape. He was walking and Jesus walked all over Galilee. He did all of that kind of stuff. So he was exercising. He was eating right because when he was hungry, where did he go? To the fig tree. And the fig tree didn't have nothing on it, so he killed it. But, that's what he was eating. He was eating honey. He was eating figs, and he was eating fish. He was eating good food. So he was doing the right things for his body. But here's the deal. It is perfectly all right for you to drink wine. It is perfectly all right for you to drink a nice cold beer. It is perfectly all right for you to even have a shot every now and then if you're not an addict.
Okay,
but if you're an addict, you can't do any of that stuff. I've had more than you. We had a lady over at night at North asked me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, how long do I have to stay in recovery before I can start drinking again? Recovery means you're giving that up. You're not going to do that. See, I'm in recovery right now from alcohol. I'm also in recovery right now from sugar. I've got years in recovery from alcohol. This is my second day in recovery from sugar. And look, I'm doing it the same way that I did with the alcohol. So my goal is I'm going to die sober and without any sugar in my body. Yes.
Inside the big book, Bill said that what my sickness tells me, one's not enough and 1,000
Yeah.
too many.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's how it is with us as alcoholics and as heroin addicts. If I go have one, that's not enough. That's not enough. We had a guy in our group not too long ago, really nice guy, really liked him for a couple of reasons. He was just a nice guy. Also, he was one big stinking muscle. He was about this tall and just one big, y'all know, some of y'all might know, but he just one, he had muscles on his muscles. He was just a big, brute guy. But he was in prison for 20 years. 20 years. And he stayed, you can get booze and stuff in prison, but he stayed off of it while he was in there. He got out. He was out. How long do you think he was before he relapsed? 1 day. 1 day. One stinking day. He got out of prison. A friend of his came over, offered him a cold beer. He said, no, I hadn't had anything in 20 years, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. He said, okay. So he drank a couple of beers in front of him, and every time, because our friends, that's why we stay away from old people, places, and things. They want us to get back to that place where we're using again because that's who they know us as. And that's who they want us to be again. So eventually, this young man said, okay, I'll have one. But that's it. He drank one beer with that guy. They wound up going to get another case. He drank 5 or 6 of those, and before the end of the day was over, he was back on his drug of choice, which was crack cocaine. And he was he's right back. So see, no, we've got to get to the place where in our recovery, we're not doing alcohol, drugs. We don't want any mood. We fool ourselves when we say this is not my drug of choice. It doesn't matter. It's going to get you right back to your drug of choice. Because look, the nice cold beer, and look, we're off topic, but the nice cold beer that you want, that's not what you want. You want heroin. You want cocaine. You want that stuff. And so that is just a vehicle. Like one beer is a vehicle to get you back to that.
Can I share something?
Well, he had his hand up, so let's do that.
I was really just a trigger.
Yeah. That's just a trigger for you going back where you wanted to be.
I experienced that. I asked that question for a reason.
I know.
Because I experienced that. I was 18 years in federal prison.
Yeah.
Went to the club the night that I got out, the day that I got out, that night my nephew took me out to the club. They said, check this out, I'm just celebrating, gave me a piece of a ball. I didn't take the whole ball. And then I drank a whole beer. But when I woke up the next day, because that knocked me out, because I was thirsty and drunk. The next day, you know what I did?
No, I don't.
My drug.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So he's telling us that the same thing, the same scenario that I just went through, happened to him as well. Yes. And I don't understand these people all the time talking about wanting a nice cold beer. When I was drinking, when I was back in my addiction, beer didn't have to be cold. Beer just had to be beer. I've drank beer so hot it's just about to boil. I don't care. It just has to be stuff. So back to our thing. I am Shawnee. I am Herschel. I am an alcoholic. I'm an addict. And I'm a Christian. All of those things. Let us move one time, and then we'll get right back with it. Hang on. My forefathers were warriors. So what does that say? Well, my forefathers were warriors. Yeah, they were tough folks, man. They were killing people and all of that kind of stuff, but that also tells me what? Yeah, not ashamed of my family, yes, sir.
You left off at accepting personal responsibility.
Yeah. And that's what we're about up here today, accepting personal responsibility. So Tecumseh was not embarrassed about who his family was, right? I tell people all the time, my dad was an alcoholic. I followed in his footsteps. He was in prison more than he was at home. Now, my Bible tells me I'm supposed to honor my mother and my father. Is telling about what he was and did. Is that honoring my dad? Sure it is. Sure it is. Because I'm using him as an example to other people is what you don't need to be. And as that, see, he was a perfect role model to me. He showed me exactly what I needed to be the best alcoholic that I could be. He told me, he didn't tell me a whole lot of good stuff, but he told me that I'm supposed to keep a little bit of what was, whatever I got high off of the day before, and keep that by my bed, a hair of the dog that bit me, so that in the morning I could use it, and it'd make me feel better. Did that work? Absolutely. Well, you shaking your head? No. Yeah, it helped. Yes, it made me feel so much better. And what else it did was get me started again so that I could feel bad the next day. Yeah. So here's the deal. He said, look, I'm a Shawnee. My forefathers were warriors. I'm not ashamed of that. Their son, me, is a warrior. I'm not ashamed of how I came up. I'm not ashamed of what I became. Right? It's a big step. And y'all, let me tell you this. Y'all get a hold of it. It's a big step for me to alert people to who I am. And when I tell people who I am, do I expect a certain response from them? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I expect them to respect the fact that I am in recovery. Don't you be bringing nothing out here. I went to my cousin's house, which I'm going to go to again in October, but we went to our cousin's house, and he's one of those guys who's real self-sufficient. He worked as a machinist for like 40 years. Got a lot of money coming in and all that kind of stuff. But he planted his own gardens, and he's got a pond down there where they catch their own fish. He grows grapes and makes his own wine. He not only makes wine, he makes sherry and some other stuff. And when we went over there, and he had all of this stuff, all of this wine and stuff on his table in the kitchen and in the dining room. And he said, look, after a while, after lunch, we're going to sample some of the wine and the stuff that I made from my own grapes. I said, no, we're not. He said, huh? I said, dude, I'm in recovery. He said, oh. I went to the bathroom, came back, that wine was gone. So that's what I want, that kind of response. I want you to respect the fact that I'm in recovery. I'm my daddy's son. I want you, and that makes me an alcoholic. So I am expecting you to respond that way. And look, I'm a Christian. You don't have to be a Christian. You can do whatever you want to do. But I expect you to respect who I just told you I was. Right? And there's things that I don't do. And there's things that I don't want you to do around me. Right? Because I am following after the Lord Jesus Christ. And some of the stuff that y'all do might make it harder for me to do that. I ain't gonna put up with that. Yeah, you know, I don't. That's why we don't look. Profanity is not. We don't do that here. That's disrespectful to everybody here. There may be somebody like me that's offensive to. So their son was a warrior. And then he said this. Said that twice. He said, look, their son is a warrior. He wanted to put that point home. So he said it again. Their son is a warrior. So do you think I only let people know who I am one time? That should be enough. But that's not true, is it? I tell people that all the time. Just like Mr. Bell said this morning. Sometimes you need reminding, right? And sometimes people that are in my life need to be reminded that I am an alcoholic, I am an addict, and I am a Christian, and I'm here to remind them.
Quick question. On family health, are we on middle ground or willing partners?
We're on number 4, because today is the 4th day, right?
Okay.
That's how we do that. One day.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, so here we go. He said, their son is a warrior. Their son is a warrior from my tribe. Now, y'all listen. This is interesting. This is what he said, from my tribe. Y'all know my tribe. It's a Shawnee. From my tribe, I take nothing. Yeah, I don't need my tribe taking care of me. Why? I'm responsible for me. Not my tribe, not my family. Now, I want my family to be part of my recovery. I want my family to be part of who I am and all of that stuff. But they're not responsible for anything that I do, right? Now, I can stand up, and I have stood up and said, hey, my dad was an alcoholic, and he paved the way for... It wasn't his fault that I became an alcoholic. It's in my genes and stuff like that, but that's not his fault. That was my own decision, and just like it was yours. So I take nothing from my tribe. So look, I don't take anything from my tribe. From my tribe, I take nothing. Nothing. Then he said, the last thing he said was, I am the maker of my fortune. I'm the maker of my fortune. I take responsibility for whether or not I'm in prison. That's me. I take responsibility whether I have the kind of money that, and by the way, the lottery is up to $950 million. If I won that, I get to my wife and she could put it toward our bills. Might pay those down a little bit. Yeah.
What would you do with all that?
Well, if I had all that money, I would go to the U.S. Virgin Islands and buy me an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
I would contribute to the facility.
Yeah, choke me up too. Yes.
Okay, Jason.
On willing partners, where it says the 4th line, it says while some minor conflict resolution or relationship repair needs to occur. What do you mean by conflict resolution?
Fixing it.
Fixing the
The
problem.
stuff that you have conflicts over, you fix it. You resolve it. That's the root call. That's a root word of resolution.
Isn't that like step 5 or 6 in the AA book?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the big book of the Bible. It's reconciliation.
Yeah. Reconciliation, getting all that stuff done. So he said, look, I'm the maker of my own fortune. That means wherever I am because I am. Because I did whatever I did to get myself into that situation. So that was Mr. Tecumseh. But here's what all of that means. He is accepting personal responsibility. Right? He's accepting personal. And look, this is what I expect of everybody here and everybody at North taking personal responsibility. Remember, we talked about this thing. If I am the problem, and hey, I am the problem. Because we asked the question, what's the problem? What problem do I have? What do you think the problem is?
Me.
You are. What do you think the problem is?
I think the problem is I have to clean up on my side of the street.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's not a problem. You bring it to my attention.
You do have a problem. So anybody else, what do you think the problem is?
Me.
We're the problem.
Yeah.
We need to get to that. Cleaning up on my side of the street, that's something you need to do. But that ain't the problem. Because anybody can clean up on your side of the street. You can do that easily. I'm the problem. So I need to be looking at me. I don't need to be looking at you with your Billy bad butt attitude. I don't need to be looking at you with your knowledge that's so much farther. We used to have a guy in this group that could quote you. He used to sit in that chair, but he could quote you the big book. This guy had big book running in his veins. You know, he did. He had, man, but we don't need to know all that. He was an off-putting. You know, somebody would say, well, how you feel about this? And he would tell you 3 or 4 different pages. And we don't need to know all that. That ain't what we're talking about. So we don't need all of that. But we don't need to be looking at that person. I don't need to be looking at the guy next to me. I need to be looking in the mirror at me. So if I'm the problem, what's the solution? Me. I need to do something. Look, if I am in conflict with other people all the time, I got an attitude problem. I need an attitude adjustment. I need to look at me. I don't need to look at that. Well, he broke wind in my. I don't care. Okay, that's a natural, normal thing. She said something. She said something that was really nasty about my children. I don't care. I don't care what's happening. It all falls back on me.
In Cinecore, they say it's called scapegoat.
Yeah, we ain't at. You hear he said over at Cinecore, that's a good place. They used to. We ain't at Cinecore.
I know.
Thank God. I worked at Cinecore. You notice I don't work at Cinecore anymore.
Why not?
You won't blow your nose.
Yeah.
But
That's not a problem.
y'all gotta.
I didn't bring my tissue.
Yeah. Bring some tissue with you when you come to group. Yeah, you know. Because you can't pay attention if we having to go blow our nose. Look, here's what we need to say. He said, look, this guy to come see, it's the same thing with us. I need to accept personal responsibility. There ain't nobody else in the world put you in the place you are right now. You need to be thanking God that the place that you are right now exists. And if you're here now, let me share this with folks in North. Y'all listen to this. I need y'all to tell me, because I'll be over there every now and then. But if you're here for any other reason, you know, if you're here to show how bad you are, if you're here to show how smart you are, if you're here to show how whatever you are, this ain't the place. You're here to get sober. You're here to get into recovery and take personal responsibility. That's one of the reasons. Why do you think that the lady in charge of operations comes down there and looks at your bed? I'm a full-grown man. I know how to fix my. Why do you think she does that? What?
She has OCD.
What is it? What was that?
She has OCD.
She has OCD. This is true, but that ain't why.
I mean, accountability.
Accountability. Taking responsibility for my own thing. One of the first things we teach you when you get into our group in the United States Army is what? How to make your bed. If you can make your bed, and they drop quarters on them, and if that don't bounce, then something ain't right. You know, if you can make your bed the way you're supposed to make your bed, then you can do well in life.
So accountability is taught to train you to be accountable. So
yeah, yes.
And they hold you accountable for it.
There you go.
Then sooner or later,
here's the deal. Yeah. I need to be at a place where there's somebody that has talked about an outward accountability and an inward accountability. there's a time when I need an outward accountability. What's that? Somebody telling me that's not right. Somebody telling me you need to change that. Somebody telling me you need an attitude adjustment right now. You get in my face, you need an attitude adjustment. I don't need to change what I'm doing so that you feel better. You need to change what you're doing to align yourself up with what's going on right now. That's what you need to do. That's what we all need to do. So I need an outside entity to come tell me this. I'm going to hold you accountable. And that's what the lady does. Even if she's OCD, which I would not doubt, she holds you accountable. So what are we doing? Holding you accountable till you can get to the place where you're holding yourself accountable. That's what happened. When I was out there and I was using, I was not accountable to anybody. I wasn't accountable to anybody. I certainly wasn't accountable to myself. I let my life fall all to pieces. Right? So I need to be accountable to my higher power. I need to be accountable to other people. And I need to be accountable to myself. So, he said, look, accepting responsibility, personal responsibility. I accept responsibility for creating my life like I want it. Is this where I want to be?
Yes.
Is it? Go right now. Go right now. But when I get out of here, I want to be somewhere else. My greatest goal, and one of the things that we tell people is that when you get out of here, if something dastardly happens and you relapse, come back. Come back. Don't stay out there in your addiction. Come back. We want you to come back. You're welcome here. However, my greatest goal is to never see you again. I don't want to ever see you again. Unless I see you like at Walmart or someplace like that and you're clean and you're sober and all of that kind of stuff. I had a guy that met me. He was in prison. He went through my program out at prison. And I met him in Walmart. And he walked up to me, and he's big guy. And I had my wife with me. So he walked up and he said, "Pull off, Dr. Gordon." That's stuff we were doing all the time to people out at the prison. I saw this big old guy, so what did I do? I eased my wife behind me. So okay, let's see what's gonna go on here. And he said, "I want you to meet Myrtle here. She's my wife, and we started our own business." Took personal responsibility for his life, moved it from where it was to someplace he wanted to be. See how people can disrupt a group even if they don't mean to?
Yes, sir.
So, here's another. Let's go over this real quick. This is all about the same thing, but with psychologists. Richard Logan studied people who go through ordeals such as being in prison, being in concentration camps, or some of those who were lost in the frozen Arctic. He found that all of these who came out as victors, all the ones who made it through all of that stuff, had a common belief. What was that, you think?
They would get through it.
Say it again?
If they could get through it, they could survive it.
If they could get through it, they could survive it? Yeah. They saw themselves as personally responsible for the outcomes and experiences of their life. When I was in combat one time, I had a 50 caliber machine gun.
Yes.
You're not supposed to shoot people with 50 caliber machine gun. It's in the Geneva Convention. It's not a personnel weapon. You can't. I know. You can't. We were on hill number 39. And we're up on top of hill 39. And there were 23 of us on top of 12. It had all sandbags and everything hiding around. And they put me on the 50 because I was the smallest guy there. And we didn't call them 50s. We called them M2s. That's what they are. And so they said, okay, when you see it rustle right down there, just start running. You just start shooting. Just start doing all of that kind of stuff. And they had told me a few hours before that, they said, look, break that thing down and clean it. That's a lot of work. You ever broke down an M2? Man, that's a lot of work. So I kind of snazzed it up on the outside. I took my rag and I cleaned it up, and I'm looking, ain't nobody watching me, so I cleaned that thing up, and it looked really good. And so when over here, the bushes started whatever, and over here the guys with M16 started, so okay, I'm ready, and boom, one round. Boom! It would not go automatic. One, and those bullets are that long. So I'm sending a projectile down through them, boom, one at a time. Boom! And so the lieutenant came over to me after it's all over with and everything gone. He said, "Did you clean that?" I said, "Did you tell me to?" I did not take personal responsibility. Had I cleaned that thing, had I got it done, there was a little bit of something. When I broke it back open, there was a little bit of something looked like a little wood chip. Don't know how it got in there or not, but every time I would pull it back, it would get in the way, and we pull that little bit of wood chip out of there and clean that thing up, cut down 3 trees with it. But when people were coming after me, wouldn't work at all, and and everybody there knew it. But we didn't get overrun. Everything was fine. Everything worked out well. But had it not, personal responsibility. At that point in time, I did not say, "No, I didn't do it." I told them, "I lied like a dog." Oh, yeah. It was never dirty again. Actually, I never had that weapon again. What I had after that was an M60. Y'all know what that is? An M2 is a 50 caliber. M60 is a 30 caliber. And it's a little bit lighter. So I carried it around. But he said, "Look, we need to be, if we'd all got killed and all of that stuff, a lot of that would have been my fault." So the essence, y'all listen to this, it's really good. The essence of personal responsibility is responding wisely to life's opportunities and challenges. Look, here's the deal. As you go on through your life, some of you people are very young. Some folks in here are very young. I'm 72. I probably got underwear older than some of you. Mr. Darnell there, you're 12, 13, something like that. And, so I got underwear older than a lot of you. But going forward, there's going to be a ton of opportunities that come your way. You guys are brilliant. You're smart. You have skills that we need. And so there will be a lot of opportunities that come your way. There's also going to be a lot of challenges that come your way. I had a client that worked at the motorcycle shop as a motorcycle mechanic. Every day at the end of work, guess what would happen? The guy who owned the motorcycle shop would pull a cart out, and it's got all kind of booze on it. It's got, vodka, and it's got, Jim Beam, and it's got all of this kind of stuff, got a couple of quarts of beer, all of this kind of stuff. And he would say, "Nobody leaves this place without a shot of something. This is your reward for doing a good day's work." And he said, "I just don't know what to do." What was that? It was a challenge, wasn't it? What do you do? What do you do? Dive out the window. Hey, here's the deal. I'm taking personal responsibility. When I go to work for that guy, I say, "Look, I want to be a motorcycle mechanic here for you. I'm a little bit different from a lot of the guys that you have. I'm in recovery. I'm not drinking, and I'm a Christian. So you may not hear all of the stuff out of me that you hear out of them. But I'm taking personal responsibility for who I am. So I'm letting you know. And can I stop the boss from wheeling out all of that booze? No, but I don't have to partake of it." Somebody said, I told that story, somebody said, "What if he fires me?" That ain't the only motorcycle shop in town. We used to have a couple of them. They shut one of them down. Those people, I went in there looking for a part. The Honda shop was over here. The Harley shop is over here. Crossroad over there with the Yamaha shop. And I was riding a Yamaha and I needed a part. And I went over there. And when I walked in, there was nobody there. Nobody. I walked all around looking for a salesman. Nobody. Went to the parts department. Nobody. Finally, a guy and a girl come walking out of the back, and like they'd been in a break room or something. She walked past me. I'm standing at the counter. She walked past me, went on over there to, I guess it was her little office. The guy came out, looked at me, and went to work doing some kind of little something, paperwork and stuff, and I'm standing there going, anybody work here? Is anybody here? Nobody work here? And so he said, well, is there something you want? I said, no, not from here. No, thank you, sir. Yeah. And so I went, and so personal responsibility. They weren't doing their job. That place got closed down and sold, and now it's something else. It's not a motorcycle shop anymore. And so, there's no wonder why. You're going to be like that. I'm not going to be around you much longer. So we're going to have to respond to those opportunities and challenges rather than waiting passively for luck or other people to make choices for us. Sometimes, look, I'm taking personal responsibility for me, so sometimes I have to make my own opportunity, right? If I need an opportunity, I'm going to have to make my own opportunity sometime, right? There's a lot of people out there that don't care if I get an opportunity or not. They're really willing to make my life challenging, but they don't want to give me any opportunity. So I'm going to have to make opportunities for myself. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to get some skills. I'm going to learn how to weld. I'm going to learn how to build houses. I'm going to learn how to work on cars. I'm going to learn something. And as soon as I get that skill, I'm going to put it to work. I'm going to go find something. And when I go walk into that person's office now, I'm going to say, hey, look, I saw that you guys needed me. Well, we're trying to hire a mechanic. You need me. I'm going to do you a good job. I may not be the best mechanic you've ever seen in your life, but I might be. And I will do you a good job. Look, I would rather have someone as a counselor come work for me that's got to be there every day. The skills are not up here. The skills are right here right now. But those skills are going to build every day that they're here. So I'd rather have that person that's going to be there every day. I hired a lady when I was out at the prison, and she said, I'm so excited about coming to work. I said, okay. She said, but I can't stay the rest of the day. I have to go. But tomorrow, I said, okay, we'll start you in the morning. She said, okay. We started at 6 o'clock in the morning. By 8 o'clock, she wasn't there. She called and said, I am so sorry. I have to take half a day off today, but I'll be in this afternoon after lunch. I said, okay. So lunch came, went. She didn't come. She called us back up and said, I am so sorry. My car's not working well. I'll be there in the morning. Okay. So she called, I was her supervisor's supervisor. So she wasn't calling me, she was calling that person down there. And that lady came and told me, she called in again. She's not going to be able to come today or tomorrow, but she'll be here Friday. I said, okay, that's good. Friday comes around, guess what happened? She showed up 6 o'clock in the morning, had her bells on, she was ready to go. Well, about 8 o'clock, she said, look, I'm going to have to go do this. This is a legal thing. I got to go do this. If I don't do that, I got to go. So she went, and she said, I'll be back by 2 o'clock. She went off because it was the weekend. And that's exactly what she called her boss and said, look, I'm just not going to make it back. It's the weekend, and I already have plans, but I have to, okay. I'll be there Monday morning. And a young lady came to me and she said, hey, Dr. Garner, this is what's happened. I've written her up 19 times. Can I just tell her not to come back on Monday morning? I said, yeah. So she called her back up. And the girl called me about 20 minutes later, and she was fired up. She was mad. I'm gonna sue y'all. I'm gonna, if I meet you in the parking lot, okay, all right. She said, and I'm a good counselor. So we wouldn't know. You hadn't been here. No personal responsibility at all. There's another story, real quick. I know we don't have much time. I have a friend who is a carpenter, and he has his own carpenter shop, and he makes cabinets and stuff like that. And he's really good at it. So he got overwhelmed. He hired a guy. Guy came in on Monday, and he said, okay, this is what I need you to do. And he said, okay, but I have to go right back home. He went home. He didn't come back the whole week. But on Friday, he came back. And he went in there and he said, hey, Mr. Club, I need my check. He said, what? He said, I need my check. I've been working here a week. He said, no, you've been on the books for a week. You've never done anything here. The guy expected to get paid just because he had taken the job, but never done anything for it. Personal responsibility. If you don't work, you don't get it, right? Yes.
I got one question. Was he a salary employee?
Was he salaried?
Yeah, I mean.
I don't really know. I don't know. I doubt it. I'm thinking he was probably an hourly employee. I don't know where that makes any difference, though. I wouldn't have paid him a dime. He wasn't there. Yes.
Oh, no.
So the other guy, I know you're stretching. I know you're not. You're not involved. You're not engaged. The guy behind you is engaged. Yes.
So, you said that to say this, metaphorically speaking, is that when I came to recovery, that's the equivalent of me of getting that job.
Yeah.
But I want all of these things to happen for me. I want to get paid from the recovery that I signed up with my job. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that unless I do the work. That's a really good analogy. He said when he came to recovery, came to treatment, it was like he had taken a job, but if he don't do his part, if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, he's not going to reap the benefits of it. He's not going to get what he's supposed to get. I will tell you this. That's a good metaphor. That's good. Here's the deal. We let a lot of things distract us from the main thing. Nobody cares how bad we are. Nobody cares how big we are. Nobody cares how much skill we have. Nobody cares. What we care about is recovery. If I'm doing something over at North, or if I'm doing something here that threatens somebody else's recovery, what do you think should happen?
Bring it to their attention first. Let them address it, accept it. If they can't do it,
no, we ain't doing it. We're not. Look, he said, get them together, let them get some boxing gloves. That's not what we're about.
Oh, no.
Pick up your sticks, hit the bricks. Get out. That's what has to happen. So that ends all of the bowing up. If anybody over there at North is, I know, anybody over there bowing up at other people, that ends. That stop. That's not worth doing anymore.
I think you misunderstood.
I probably did. I don't hear all that well. And
I said, bring it to his attention so he can address it himself.
He said, bring it to his attention so he can. We do need to bring it to his attention. Sometimes, and look, we got to take a break. But sometimes, if there's something that's happening that builds tension, something that happens that might break something off, we may not be at a place where we need to deal with it ourselves. We may not want to take it to that person. Don't walk out of group. All right, stay there. We may not want to address that ourselves. We might want to take that to somebody who's qualified and has the authority to address it. Because when I personally address it, sometimes it can get personal, sometimes it can get into a mess. So we don't want to do that. All right, we're going to take a break. We're about 2 minutes over, so we'll be back about 18 minutes after. I'm sorry, I can't.
No problem. That's okay. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna walk out of here.
I see that. That's well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's see if I can make it to this bathroom way on the other end. I'll go to the bathroom. Oh, I can't. I gotta make it. I'll be back. I'll go.
Hey,
I can't understand that. Portuguese. What you saying now?
I said, see it on.
You done smoke that one?
What are you
I ain't
doing?
seen you smoke that dog.
Huh?
This is nigga.
I quit.
Oh, why you didn't quit?
All right.
When you quit.
I will. Keep snacking off. You know. Huh? Oh. Now, Cherie, don't ask her about this. She'll fight. She'll fight you. That's what I smoke because the world's a safer place. And if I was smoking, I wouldn't think that. I would be worried. Yeah. There's no soap in there. I'll grab some.
Your expression when you're doing
Mr. Clifton, how you doing?
Fine so far.
So far, so good, right?
yeah, sir.
But what's wrong with it? And everything over the phone? It's not. Come on to British. Why you so heavy? Boy, that's
No, it. No.
you ain't never around. This is Chris. I've been waiting on it. I've been waiting. You've been waiting to get out there. You can't get $5.
Sorry.
I'm gonna send them in here. I'm sure we do. I'm keeping it out one and I'm gonna. Well, I got 2 daughters. I got 2 daughters. I got 1 in 23. Boy, man. Yes, you work my dad. Oh, that's fine. I got 2 daughters. You get that. You got that.
6 up.
They you got that foot.
Yep.
Where?
Like there's 2 selections.
Two, right? No, like that.
It's not like that.
Double that.
But it has great juice. That'd be like 76.
You don't know. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? But I ain't jumping on that.
Surprised Mr. Carter's out there tapping his foot.
Oh, that other boy, that does.
You like peach water, Cynthia? You like peach water? There you go. I got 6 of these. But it's part of the pack. It's part of the variety pack. So, trade off.
So you come out now to the board. Don't like that. What do you want?
Are y'all supposed to already?
2 minutes.
Or do y'all, not
Should
break?
be now, actually.
Are they supposed to already be back?
So we had till 18 after. I went over a
Yeah.
little.
I was wondering,
1 minute.
because you weren't.
Yeah, I'm kicking and screaming yet.
Part of the variety
All right, we're going to get started back. All right. We're going to start back real quickly. We may quit a little early because I have a meeting to attend. But I want to share with you real quickly before we get started back. This, I gave everyone one of these. I'm assuming that they all got handed out at North. And I know they got handed out here because I handed them out. So I want to share with you what it says and what we're supposed to do with them. This is our is a journal entry, and what does journaling mean?
Writing down your thoughts.
Writing down your thoughts. It says up at the top of this thing. It says, write about what you have learned in this activity. Now we're not finished with the activity, but I do know there's a couple of things I really want to get to. And I do know that you're going to learn some stuff from this. So, but write about what you've learned in this activity about personal responsibility and how you will use this knowledge to improve your life. Now, this is homework. So you take this with you to your whatever the rest of the day is. You do have a homework group that comes up, which gives you the opportunity to do some stuff. So what I'd like for you to do is write out here just a few things you want to share with us, and then tomorrow we're going to share that with the group. Okay? And we're gonna. So everybody needs to bring their books, bring their paperwork back tomorrow. So if you don't know what you're supposed to do, then you will die. So remember that. Everybody know. Look, and there's some people who are not in group yet. Didn't hear the instructions because they came to group late. What does that mean?
Missed out on information.
Okay. They might ask you. If not, if they don't have it tomorrow, they will just not have it. So, picking up where we left off, we're not going to let other people do those things for you. These are a couple of things I really want us to get a hold of, and may be part of what you write on your thing for tomorrow. When people keep doing what they've been doing, even if it doesn't work, what is that?
Insanity.
That is the definition of insane. Insanity. You know, the big book says we're going to let God take us away from this insanity, right? So look, when people keep doing what they're doing, even though it doesn't work, they're a victim. We'll just wait till you guys are done.
I'm listening to you.
Okay. I need to be able to tell it.
You have our undivided attention, Pastor.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you. So they're acting like victims. What is a victim?
Somebody that something happened to.
Somebody that something happened to. Well, that's a good definition of a victim. But here, a lot of the time, what we understand as a victim is somebody that allows something to happen to them. If I'm a victim, then people can do anything they want to me because I'm a victim. I can't help myself. Is it a good thing to be a victim?
No.
No. I'm going to tell you now, just so you know, I'm nobody's victim. I am not going to be a victim. I'm an alcoholic. Okay, I'm not a victim. I got some issues, but I'm not a victim, right? If I'm a victim, all of this stuff can fall on top of me, and I'm not willing to have all that stuff fall on top of me. So if this person here feels like he's a victim, what happened? I had a guy in one of my groups. We were doing just a DWI group, where everybody there had DWIs. You had to have at least one DWI to come to the group. This guy had like 5. And so we're talking about the groups, and he raised his hand and said, okay, I had asked the question, how come it is that we get DWIs? So y'all know the answer to that? How come is it that we get DWI?
Because we make the decision.
We make the decision to drink and drive. So this guy felt like he was a victim.
Back when I was the guy that used to drink and drive, I got pulled over and I told the cop, I said, are you drinking and driving? I looked at him dead in his face and I said, no, I'm driving and drinking. He laughed and he let me go.
Well, that was unfortunate because you could have gone still drinking, got drunk, and killed my kids. And I'm not appreciative of a police officer or anyone not doing their job. Miss Cynthia over there does a wonderful job. I'm excited about that. I wouldn't be happy if she wasn't doing her job. The policeman's job is to get drunk drivers off the stinking road. And when you make a joke with him, and he says, "Hey, thing," and then he leaves and lets you take off driving, that's not funny. That's not good. I don't like that. He didn't do his job. Now, everything worked out pretty well for you because you didn't get that, you didn't get all these things, and you didn't kill anybody on the way home, I'm assuming. But you could have. And so that would have been on him. Here's the deal. None of us in this room are victims. Everything that happens to us, everything that happened to us, we did it. I'm not anybody's victim. This guy's in here because he deserves to be there. This guy had 5 DWI. And I said, dude, why on earth, you would think you would learn. What's the deal? He said, well, the police are out to get me. He said, I have to drive through Splendora, Texas. Y'all know where that is? Nasty little town. He said, I have to drive through Splendora, Texas on the way to get home every day coming from my job. And he said, it's like 55 miles from my job to my house. So on the way, I naturally have 3 or 4 beers on the way home. Is that what you naturally do? If you're an alcoholic, if that's what you look. And he said, every time I come through there, he pulls me over, and before I know it, I'm in jail for DWI. Those people are out to get me, and he made this statement. He said, that cop is out to get me, and I know you don't believe it. I said, no, sir, you're wrong. I do believe it. That's a stinking job. If you're going to drive through there drunk, I don't care if you drive through there 35 times. That's your job. I mean, that's his job to get you off the road. Yeah. So then he asked me, he said, well, I asked him, I said, what's the solution? What do you think the solution to that is? What do you think the solution is?
Stop drinking. He's probably going to get
He wanted to get the cop fired. That wasn't what he told me. What was the solution? I asked him, I said, what is the solution to your situation?
Go a different way.
Say it again?
Go a different way.
Exactly what he told me. He said, there's another way. It's longer, but I'm going to start driving that way.
And then I can drink more beer.
Yeah, then I can drink more beer. There's actually a liquor store over there, so I'm gonna go by there. So, was that the solution I was looking for? What's the solution to his job?
Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. All right, so we let ourselves get to be that victim. Like we got some victims here in the class. Y'all got it all talked out.
I ain't there.
But you're listening well. Y'all need to look, pay attention. I don't want you in a group. If y'all gonna talk about it here, wait until you have your homework group, and then y'all can talk in your homework group. But you can't talk in my group.
I ain't there with it.
All right, well, all right, I appreciate that. You didn't, but you were listening real hard. So y'all just don't do it. No conversating. That's called, what's that called? Cross talking. Now we don't do that because if it doesn't bother anybody else, bothers me. I get completely off track, and I'm wondering, what are you talking to him about? Is what we're putting out so dadgum non-important that you got to talk about your mama, or you got to talk about your dog, or you got to talk about the group, or you got to talk about anything else? Don't do that. Stick with us a little bit. You might work. You may, and I know you guys are. Oh, you're brilliant. I know you're brilliant. You may learn something. So when people change their behaviors to create the best results they can, what do they become?
A better person.
They do become a better person, and they become what we call creators. I'm creating a better future. I'm creating a better situation for me. I've gotten myself out of my victim stance, and now I'm creating a better job, better life for me. A victim is saying things like, poor me, pour me another drink. That's a victim. Victims never win. Victims are always losers. So we don't want to be victims. We want to make sure that we're not a victim. We want to look in our lives and say, hey, this is what I need to do. If I do what I need to do, the first thing I'm going to do, down here, you can't see it in North, but down here it says acceptance. I'm going to accept it. Right? I'm going to take a look at that and I'm going to accept it. Anybody like being called down? No, I don't like it. I don't like that. But I accept the fact that I was doing something that needed to be called down. Right? I accept that fact. If that's happening, and that happens to me sometimes. I'm sitting in, usually when we're in a leadership meeting, I like to get that stuff. I'm taking notes and I'm listening and everything. And it doesn't take too long before my boss will call me down. He'll say, you don't have anything to say? Dr. Garner, you don't have anything to add to? And so, okay, I accept the fact. I should be adding something. I have some stuff that's pretty good stuff. I should be. And so I start to try to add some stuff to it. So the first thing we need to do is accept it. If I feel like I'm a victim, what do I need? What's the key to getting out of the victim stance? Accept the responsibility. What did you say?
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Yeah, if I can accept the responsibility, if I have very low self-esteem and I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, it's really, really hard for me to accept responsibility for that. But once I start accepting responsibility for my own actions, then my self-esteem will go up. Y'all know I have issues with self-esteem. So anytime I have an issue, anytime I have a problem, anytime I do something that I shouldn't have done, the first one I go to is whoever I need to go to. I go talk to my boss. I did it this morning already. Went and talked to my boss and said, look, this happens. I'm going to do that every time. So I accept responsibility for who I am, what I've done, all of this kind of stuff. If I accept responsibility, the trouble in my life lessens every time. Goes down. So, when you accept responsibility, listen, this is important because it's going to be its own part of your homework. And there's a couple of guys who didn't make it for group on time. So let me tell you, you got one of these pieces of paper. I need you to fill that out, and we're going to share it tomorrow in group. When you accept responsibility, you believe that you can create everything in your life. Think about that. When you accept responsibility, I'm responsible for everything that happens in my life. You believe that you can create everything that's in your life. I believe that. Where I am today, I'm here today because I created that. I'm the one who started using the booze. I'm the one who started using the marijuana. I'm the one who started doing this and doing that. So I created that. I created who I am today. Life, of course, at times, we are affected by forces that are beyond our control. There are some things that are beyond our control, right? When we need to get to the place where we lessen that every day. If I take personal responsibility for who I am, what I'm doing, how I do it, who I do it to, that's going to lessen some of that stuff. There's things that's out of my control. However, the things that are in my control, they need to be in my control. So, if a hurricane destroys my house, what happens?
Hopefully you got insurance.
Yeah, hopefully you got insurance. So, if a hurricane destroys my house, I am a victim. I am a victim with a small v. I'm a victim with a small v. Does that mean I'm a victim in every area of my life? Oh, the hurricane ate my house. So I'm a victim of that. Every time there's a hurricane that goes through, we get to see all these horrendous pictures from the media about all of it. Every house. I remember last time they had a hurricane that tore up a church. They had pictures of that church from every angle around that church. And then there was a guy, or it might have been a girl, who was in water up to here, trying to get the media stuff out. She was reporting, and she was up to here in the water, and she's kind of, and two guys walked behind her, and the water was up to their ankles. She had gotten off in the ditch, so think how horrible. She might have even been sitting down or something, Okay, if it's not horrible and terrible and nasty, they don't report it. There's a lot of good things that they could be reporting that they don't. I'm a victim with a small v, but if I allow that event to ruin my whole life, I become a victim with a big V, capital V. Here's the deal. Y'all do know that stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen here that we don't like. Stuff's going to happen in the north that you don't like. I saw somebody in this group making a sandwich. It might have been yesterday, the day before, or something like that. And I can tell. Okay, I'm going to eat this thing, but it's not a gourmet meal, right? Sometimes there are things that's going to happen here that we really don't like, and so are we a victim? If we're ever a victim, we're a victim with a small v. Because supper coming, dinner's coming, and we're going to have a better meal, right? That guy said something I didn't like, but okay, you don't have to like everything I say, right? And okay, I hope to tell you things that we might need, but not everybody needs what I have to say. That's true. Not everybody has the same need. We do have the same disease, so there's a good chance that we have some of the same needs, right? But I don't have to let that destroy my life. I don't have to let that get me kicked out of north, and I don't have to let that get me kicked out of south, and I don't have to, because I can deal with that. Not a victim. Say it again? Yeah, we can do that. So, at times there's going to be stuff there. If you accept responsibility for creating your own results, you're going to look for ways to create your desired outcomes and experiences in spite of the fact that there's going to be some obstacles in your life. Look, if there's no obstacles in your life, you have passed away. We're going to have obstacles. And here's the big deal. You get to choose whether or not you're a victim or a creator. I'm a creator. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to find me some good, cheap, little online program. I'm going to go back to school because I'm going to get a different license. Why am I going to do that? Well, it's the field I work in. I enjoy it. I'm going to get to a place where I can help people on a deeper level. And I'm getting a little bit older, and I feel like it's going to help my mind stay agile, help me do some more mental gymnastics. And, what if I died before I finished? Oh, well, I probably ain't going to need it then. I'm not going to need it. So, we choose whether or not we're a victim. We choose whether or not we're a creator. I'm going to be a creator. I'm not going to be anybody's victim. And look, down through the years, I've learned to recognize when somebody's trying to make me their victim. That's not going to work on me. I'm not going to be somebody else's victim. You can't make me feel anything. You can't make me angry. You can't make my feelings get hurt. You can't do any of that stuff. Every now and then, I do get a little frustrated and a little agitated, but I just carry that on and create something out of it. I don't allow myself to get into a victim stance. When we respond as a victim, here's what happens. Y'all listen. You might want to write this down for tomorrow on your little thing there. When we respond as a victim, this is what victims do. We complain. We blame. We make excuses, and we repeat those ineffective behavior. You know, is it wrong to complain?
No.
I was at a restaurant. It was probably 30 years ago, and it was a buffet, and I can't remember, Golden Corral. I don't eat at Golden Corral. We do not eat at Golden Corral. I went up and got some bread pudding.
Okay.
Guess what was in my bread pudding? A what?
Raisins.
Raisins?
Corn.
Forgot. I guess all that stuff is in there, but there was also there was a Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
And that looked like the Band-Aid looked like it had come off the end of somebody's finger.
Yeah.
I went and sat down, and the waiter came over and he said, "Is there anything the matter, sir?" I said, No. This just happens to be a Band-Aid here in my bread pudding, and nothing wrong. That looks like a really good Band-Aid. You know, one of the best ones I've ever found in bread pudding. Oh my God! And just about 10 minutes before that, I had some greens, mustard greens, and I bit into the mustard greens, and there was a cricket in the mustard greens who had been cooked in the mustard greens. So I'm telling the guy, look, there was a cricket in my greens, and there's a Band-Aid in my bread pudding.
Being so stingy with the crickets. I could have had more.
The manager came over, and he gave us in cash our whatever we paid for our meal. He gave me that back, and then he gave me a little thing, and he said a little card, and he said, "You bring this in, and your next meal here is free." I said, "Well, can I tell you a little something? I'm not coming back over him, because free or not, I don't need Band-Aids. Yeah, I just ain't gonna do that, and I can get my own cricket. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do that." So what is? And now look, I don't go to Golden Corral.
Okay.
That place is nasty. I don't do that. They have sneeze guards for a reason.
Yeah.
No little people sneeze up in there. He had his hand up. Go ahead.
I need you to reiterate. You said when we can. Okay, you said when we respond as victims, we complain and what? I need to.
All right. When you have a similar question, what do you have? I'm going to go back over.
I knew a guy that worked at Golden Corral, and he said that they do that stuff just for the flavor.
Oh yeah, that's the truth. They put stuff in there like crickets and stuff for the flavor. But they have that sneeze guard, and that sneeze guard is in place for me. Somebody my size, somebody your size. But you see all those 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids going back up in there? They're putting their fingers in there, they're sneezing in it, they're picking their nose and going like that. And you go up there, man, that has an interesting texture to it. There's a reason for it. It's full of kid snot. So let me reread this for you. When we are a victim, we complain. Should you ever complain? Yeah, there are times when you should complain. When I found all that stuff in my food, I complained, right? But we shouldn't be complaining all the time about everything. We had a guy in here sat right there. Every group, all group long, disrupted the whole group, complaining about the food. That's all he did. And the food, look, it's not Papados, but it's not bad. It is not bad. This is good food. The guy in there that's our chef in it, that man can cook. He cooks some good stuff. But he uses what he has. But he does a good job. Yeah, he does a good job with what he's got. So we blame other people.
You ever seen that show Chop? What's in the basket?
Say it again?
So you ever seen that show Chop? What's in the basket?
I never have.
It's a cook show.
I don't watch cook shows. I can't imagine what type of mentality wants to sit around and watch cook shows. But if that's what you like, that's what you like.
Oh, man.
So
you're wrong for that, dude.
I don't know. So we complain.
What you say, Cole?
It's all good.
Number 2, we blame. We blame other people. That's somebody that if it's never your fault, then you're not taking responsibility. So we make excuses It was like that when I got here. I wasn't talking in group. I had to go to the bathroom. That's why I didn't. We're always making excuses. There's always a good excuse for bad behavior. So, when we're a victim, we do that all the time. And we continue to do what we did. Whatever it was that was not what we were supposed to do, we continue to do it. When we respond as a creator, we ask ourselves, what are my options? What can I do? And which option is best? I have had, I've had people come and tell me crazy stuff. I've had people that I had to correct that worked for me, and they just said, okay, I got something for you. Okay, here's my resignation. Like that's going to shake my world. Don't shake my world, go home. I'm fine. We'll hire somebody that wants to do it the way we want it done. But they had that option, and which one was best for me? If I had said, just like right here, right now, Mr. Farmer and Miss Arlene, the people who are in charge of everything, they want things done a particular certain way. So what do? You have options. I can go home. Everybody here can go home. Or we can do it the way that
they want.
Yeah. And when I look at my check, their names are on it. They sign it. So if they're signing, as long as they're signing my check, I need to do things. That's my option, right? Some people take the wrong option. Which of those options are the best? Which is going to help me create my desired outcomes and experience it? Have y'all ever worked for somebody that was really nasty? Oh, yeah. I worked for some people. Oh, my goodness. Right now, I have told myself there's one person out there that he paid me like gobs of money. He paid me 3 times what I'm making here. He just paid me dumped it on me. But when I left from that place, I said to myself, I will never work for that man again. And I walked out of there. Would I ever work for that man again? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It ain't about the money, but if there's a place and a time when I need a job and that's the only job open, guess what? I'm going to run over there and say, look, I'm going to swallow my pride and I'm going to go back to work for this. Because that option is going to help me do the things I want to do. So here's the deal. The difference between responding to life as victim or creator is how we choose to use our energy. When I'm going to choose to be a creator and I'm going to make things better for me, that takes some energy. But when I choose to be a victim, complain and blame, that takes energy as well. Yes.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Okay. It's just as hard to be a victim as it is to be a creator. It's just as hard to be a creator as it is to be a victim. You can be a victim fairly easily, but it takes us some work to maintain our victim stance. So this morning, if you're in a victim stance, you guys at North, folks here, if you're in a victim stance, you let somebody hurt your feelings, you're mad at somebody, stuff like that, you don't like it, just get over that. Move on from that. Get out of your victim stance, you poor little old thing. Get out of that. Look, y'all, look, excuse me, if just listen to what I say and take it the way it was meant. I don't abide by a victim. If you're a victim, I want to help you get out of that victim stance. Because that's not a healthy place for you to be. Yes.
I just have a general question. You said you were from Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Did you own any acres of land and did you grow any kind of crop on your land?
That's a good. That has nothing at all to do with the group. But I didn't have any land in Mississippi because remember, if y'all remember me telling you, we ate grub worms. We were hungry people. We didn't have anything for anything. Over here, I've got a little bit of land, and we do grow a little bit of something. We don't grow anything. I didn't have anything to grow anything. Yeah. So the difference is, look, it's how we decide to use our energy. Here's an important choice, and we can make immediately. Immediately. We can make this choice today. Y'all think about this. Except, as creators do, disbelief. I'm responsible for creating my life as I want it. If you can believe that you're responsible for having the life, making the life that you want, that's the first step of getting out of the victim stance. If you can sit here this morning and say, I don't have a choice in the matter. I don't have enough education. I don't have a good enough job. People don't like me. Whatever that is, then you're in a victim stance, and that's never going to do you any good at all. Being in a victim stance is no good place. You need to be about getting out of that quickly as you can. Ultimately, each of us creates the quality of life with the wisdom or folly of our choices. Think about that. Saw a thing the other day. 3 men. Had a man standing here, a man standing there, a man standing here, and they were in a courtroom. One man was there. He was the defendant. The man standing behind him was the court bailiff. The man standing behind him was his lawyer. And it said each and every one of these guys are where they are because of their choices. One guy decided he's going to go to college and be a lawyer. One guy decided he was going to get him a good job, probably making more than the lawyer as a court officer of the court. One decided he's going to try to get over on everybody and sell drugs. All of them made their own choice. So we do the same thing. Now here's some stuff. Now this is the activity. I'm going to go over this real quickly. We've got about 5 minutes. We shut down just a little early. This is stuff that you can put on your paper for tomorrow. In this activity, we're going to experiment with the creator role. That's what we want to be. By choosing to take responsibility for your life, you'll immediately gain an increased power to achieve your greatest potential. Now, here's the deal. This is our what we can do for tomorrow, or you can come up with something of your own. Write and complete. These are 10 sentences, and we're just going to go over each one of these 10 sentences. If I take full responsibility for my own actions, I will accomplish great things. Now, number 1, if I take full responsibility for my actions, what's going to happen in my life? If I take full responsibility for my actions, immediately I'm going to have to get truthful and honest. What is the biggest thing we need to have going into our recovery?
Honesty.
Rigorous honesty.
A what?
Rigorous honesty.
Yeah, rigorous honesty. We need to be honest. So that's the one thing. If I take responsibility for my own actions, I'm going to immediately be honest. I'm going to immediately have that going on. If I take full responsibility for all of my thoughts, if I take full responsibility for look, I'm going to tell you what's going to go in my mind. If I'm taking full responsibility for all of my thoughts, I'm going to start purposely thinking positive things about other people. It's very easy to find bad things. You can always find a negative thing. Negative things poke out there like a nose on your face. When you do something negative, everybody knows that. That's one of the reasons we do things negatively. You know that? We're attention seeking. That's why I have a big chest. That's why I walk around and yell. That's why I do goofy stuff. That's why I use profanity toward people and do all of that stuff. Because I want attention, and that's the only way I think I can get it. So when I start thinking about you, I think positively about you. I start looking for positive things. We got people in here that disrupt group. What's the positive about that?
None.
Well, there's some good things about it. I can think positively about.
Although other people might disrupt groups, other people.
Yeah, there are people who see that. I'm going to tell you something. If you're a disrupting group, I'm not going to let that slide. I'm going to let you know you're a disrupting group and you're not paying attention. And you need to be paying attention. Some of the other things, there are people who always have something to say. You notice that? That's not a bad thing. Not all the time. It's a good thing. So when that person or this other person has something to say, I'm going to look at that as a positive thing. I'm going to think about that as positive.
I think all of that you just said is, goes back to the very first sentence that you said, accepting personal responsibility.
Yeah, I think you're right. Accepting personal responsibility. If I take full responsibility for all of my feelings, look, that's probably the biggest one on here. I'm taking responsibility for my feelings. I come in here in the morning and I get a report from Miss Cynthia or Miss Kim or something. So and so and so and so got in an argument. So and so and so and so got in a fight. And I bring them to my office and they say, well, he said this, he said that, he heard what? Take responsibility for your own feelings. Don't be jumping on somebody else because something they said. It's not about them. It's about how I feel about what they said. And we're going to have feelings because we're human. But you have to, what? You have to control your own feelings. You have to be responsible for your own feelings. If you don't control your feelings, if you don't control your anger, if you don't control all that stuff, what's going to happen?
Get out of control.
Yeah, when it gets out of control, what's going to happen?
Right. You got it.
I'm going to help you control it. And if I can't help you control it, I give Miss Cynthia. She can help you.
Yeah.
She'll tell you. If she can't help you, just go ahead and take our people. Just go ahead and just go ahead on that. Just go ahead. So if you get to that place where you're telling yourself, I can't deal with my own feelings, that's not true. We can deal with our feelings. That gets you in a victim stance. And if you don't deal with your own feelings, somebody else will do it for you. And some of those people have guns and knives and badges and all of that kind of stuff. So real quickly, got to go. I take full responsibility for my education. I never had the opportunity that you got an opportunity now. You ain't dead. Do something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I take full responsibility for my career. I take full responsibility for my relationships, for my health. If I take full responsibility for my health, when all of these other people go out there and start smoking, I might go down to the other thing out there away from them, just let them smoke, and I might quit. Because I'm taking responsibility. If you catch cancer and all of this stuff, I have a guy in my church that came and reported to me, he has stage 4 cancer. He's a veteran of the Marine Corps. He got wounded in Nam 7 times. 7 times. But he got stage 4 cancer. Did he take responsibility? He has to. He's the one who did all that smoking all those years, right? I take full responsibility for everything that happens to me. If somebody else comes up and walks me behind the head, okay, what did I do to cause that? I'm going to look at that. If I did something, okay, I take responsibility. If he did it, he's going to take responsibility. When I'm acting fully responsible for my life, things will be different. If I were to create my very best self, what would it look like? Now look, I'm going to leave this up here.
Yes, sir.
No, I can't. Yes, I can. Leave that up there, and you guys can take a look at that. Yes, sir.
I got a question. Is that pertaining to
Okay.
Monday we they got a church, here we going to church. They told us to ask you if we go.
To church?
Yeah.
I'm all for you going to church.
It's a warm hand and helping heart or something.
Warm hands. But they want to elect for church and baptize people.
Go to the lake. It's the lake and water.
Why? Pretty hot. I can't.
Well, we'll take a good close look at that. And look, if they want to come get you to go, I'm